We are here with a very special guest here today on the Mr. Insurance podcast. Here, I have my buddy, my personal friend, Michael Hall from Indianapolis, Indiana, came in from out of town to visit with me and had some dinner and everything else. And Mike, he is the CEO of Trustworthy Financial Services, right?
Right.
And to tell him a little bit, tell me a little bit about what you do and how you help people and the reason why you're the GOAT at this, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's actually a loaded question, Steve. I've been doing insurance for 12 years. First of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be
Oh
here.
man, we're glad to have you here.
Been doing insurance for 12 years. And, when you are in high school and you think of a list of things you want to do, public speaking and insurance sales would have been below death for me. Like, I'm an introvert. I'm the guy that was shy, that stayed to himself, that never did any of that. And so just a little bit about my background. I was a fireman in Baltimore City. I was a Marine. I lost my job in the fire department because of some lung issues I got when I was overseas. And so someone approached me about doing insurance, and they said, "Hey, look, my guys are making like 150,000 a year. You'd probably be really good at it." I'd never made more than 60,000 in my life. I didn't say no. I was like, hell no, right? Well, somebody else that I had a ton of respect for owned the third largest real estate brokerage in Maryland, and he had made a ton of money, had a lot of success in real estate. And he said, "Mike, I know you told somebody no, but you should come check this out." And Steve, just simply, I had no interest, but this guy saw something in me that I didn't see. And I thought, I've got to show up or this guy's going to see who I really am, that I'm a fake, right? That I'm not somebody that's going to have all the success. I showed up, and the guy started writing all this stuff on the board. And I started thinking, oh my God, like, why do you have to lie? Nobody makes that kind of money. And so I went out there, got my license, made like 30 grand that first year, part-time from like September to the end of the year, put my foot down, made a multiple six-figure income my very first year, changed my life. And then I learned that all I was doing, I wasn't selling anything to anybody. I was literally helping people the same way that I was as a fireman, only now I'm not showing up on their worst day. Now I've got a crystal ball that says, okay, when something happens, I'm going to be able to get your family on safe ground. So the cool thing about what I get to do is I still get to make a difference in everybody's life, and I get to see that difference. Well, things have shifted over the last decade that I've been doing this, right? We see what's going on right now in our country, and this pandemic of debt is something that's just crushing people. I think it's one of the most debilitating things in our country right now.
Very real.
And so we've got, what we're able to do right now is we're able to help the average person eliminate all their debt, their mortgage, their car payments, loans, student loans, credit, anything in typically a 7 to 10 year time frame. Most people don't have to pay another penny outside of their pocket from what they're already paying, if they're already paying extra on it. And the greatest thing about it is when they're out of debt, they got a chunk of money in their hand.
Something that you had said to me as we were going through, like you had introduced me to a couple of different guys that you had worked with in the industry. And I was kind of like, I was taken back a little bit because I was like, Mike, I want to work with you. I wanted to give you my money. I don't know about these guys, whatever. And you had said, doing the right thing for you, that was the right thing because this was essentially a little bit further out of my boundaries than I was accustomed to. And I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing for you. So it became less about making money and less about selling, if you will, and more about trying to be able to take care of the customer. And I think that that's something that gets really lost in translation with a lot of people is that once they finally get over that hump, once they understand that, that's when success kicks in. That's when all of a sudden things take off. That's when things start going good because you learned it real quickly and early on. And I can't imagine going from being a fireman to an insurance salesman. It was just like, that's like totally the opposite end of everything on there. But I mean, in both ways, I guess you're putting out fires, right?
Well, I mean, it is totally different, but it's not. because we're still dealing with people, we're still helping people. And isn't that life and business 101 that you're going to get paid for the value that you bring? So shouldn't we focus on relationships and value versus the money? If you chase the money, you end up with nothing. If you chase the value, if you can become better and you could become more valuable and you can put more value out there in the marketplace, you're going to be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
If you're chasing the dollar, you're going to be out of business. And then, and then people are going to feel that. They're not going to want to work with you. You're going to come across slimy and salesy, and people don't want to work with people like that.
I know that some of the guys that come here and they work with us, so like we got into solving problems, kind of like we were saying, and providing a value for people that was outside of just the general insurance sale. Like initially, it started out as high risk auto insurance, right? From that point, we started helping different various people with their problems that they were dealing with, right? And we gave them resources because we realized through my own experience, I realized that there was a problem where the system would take a hold of you, right? And it would not let you go. It got you in into its chokehold, and people were never able to get out of that. So we started providing resources around that of like where you could go for second chance credit, where you could go if you had felonies, so you could be able to get housing, or if let's just say you were a sex offender or something like that, you could be able to live here, you could, get a job here, that kind of thing. And it really started answering and lining up problems with resolution. And that's when things, again, they started really taking off. And, I've definitely seen that in your business that like you provide a lot of solutions for people. I think that's why you've been so wildly successful. And then you bring in the military background as well too. There's a lot of structure. Like I have a thing, I really like hiring military men or women, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a structure that,
Hmm.
that and a work ethic that a lot of these men and women have that other people do not. And
Hmm.
I think that, in these days and age and everything, it's work ethic might be, or work just in general might literally be a 4-letter word, right?
Mm.
So
Especially today.
right? Especially in that. But tell me a little bit. So first, let's talk about. So we had how we met, right? So we met through, like where there was a mutual business interest and relationship that we had, and we both spoke at a conference in Dallas, Texas, and I like bawled my eyes out there on stage and stuff. You killed it out there. I thought I freaking just bombed horribly on that stuff, but I've watched you with those things, and when you tell me that you were like scared to get up there and like that was your biggest fear and everything else, like for me it was too, right? I feel like I had like an exorcism when I was out there on stage. It was like I took all this bottled energy and like it was under the spotlight and I could not get away from it, and I felt it coming on. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to really blow out here. So, and like I said, people really rallied around and they saw that like you were a real person instead of you were just trying to be some salesman or, some slimy person that was trying to get your money or, try and sell you on a bunch of products and never have any chance, any reason to deliver on it. Um, they saw that it was a genuine person that came across there. And I think that's where people really resonated with that. And I see that out of you in so many different ways, that passion of what you do and how you enjoy helping people. And I mean, that really, like you said, you can't hide that. It translates out. It's, you're oozing that out. So it's not something that, you can even fake. You know
It's
what
got to
I'm
be
saying?
authentic. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen you out on stage and, like you kill it out there talking in front of different people and giving your knowledge. And, we became great friends with that. We kind of like instantly hit it off and we started talking with each other. And, next thing you know, I'm in Indianapolis at a Colts opener and we don't have Richardson no more right now, but, it was, we just have a blast together, man. Just, good friendship. Like that's what it's all about, really, and helping each other to be able to kind of to come up. Cause like you were saying, there's a lot of problems in the world right now.
It's how it should be, man. It should be easy. There's so many things that you just said that I want to touch on. One is the resources, right? It's like who I'm looking for are people that think like you and I. I'm not looking for someone that thinks like an employee. I'm looking for someone that's looking for an opportunity that maybe they don't have the education, the resources, or the experience, but they got the fire in their belly and they're willing to work and learn until they get it right. Because that was me. I didn't have a shot. I barely got through high school, never went to college, had no business being in business, didn't have any resources, education, or experience, but I had a dream that I want to make a difference for people and I want to make a difference for my family. I love what you said about the military too. I look for people in the military and also people in sports for a couple of reasons. They know how to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
Being a part of a team, you can't do everything that you've accomplished without the incredible team you've got around you. You're only one person, right? So we go out there, we focus on our strength, we hire out to our weakness, and when we find someone like that that's got discipline, like comes with the military, right? That's the one thing the military's taught me is
For sure.
discipline, heart, right? Being able to constantly keep moving, put your foot forward, which is what it takes in business. Business is one of the toughest things to do in our country.
Be resilient.
Resilience, you got to have resilience. Yeah. And then when you're talking about, first of all, thank you for the kind words about being on stage. But I'll tell you, that was one of my biggest fears in life. And when you look at a lot of the successful people out there today, there's so many of them that are introverts like that that go out there and they're able to give a message. But one of the things that I've always struggled with in my life is self-confidence, always, on who I am, the people I'm around. I was a people pleaser growing up. I mean, I am by nature. It's something I'm actively working on, which is a dangerous place to be. Before I joined the Marines, I was a follower. I was with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong thing, going the wrong direction,
You
getting
already
in a
know where
lot
I'm
of
getting.
trouble.
You already know where I'm going with this.
And but I was able to harness that energy and redirect it into something positive. And it's addicting being able to see you have influence, make a difference on others in their lives.
You know, so let's touch on that. Okay. So like I have the Mr. Insurance
I
as
teed you
my
up.
my alternate ego. Yes. You knew it was coming, right? So tell me, you have a nickname. A lot of people know Michael Hall, but most people don't know Jamal Michael Hall, right? Okay. So tell me a little bit about that and the upbringing, how you ended up getting that nickname. And yeah, I love this. I freaking love it.
I don't really remember specifically where the nickname came from. I was raised in Maryland. My dad was a pastor growing up. I was right on the edge of the county city line. The area that I grew up in was predominantly African American. And so that was just kind of like the crowd that I hung with. And I just got really comfortable. And in high school, it's just, I guess, just the way that I talked and the people that I hung around and just the way that I acted. It's kind of funny. When I was a fireman, I worked in the inner city of Baltimore, one of the roughest neighborhoods in Baltimore. As a matter of fact, if you've ever seen the TV show The Wire, that's exactly where I
Oh, wow.
worked. It's probably the most realistic TV show that I've ever seen. And the girl Snoop in the show, her name was actually Snoop, and she really lived in the neighborhood, and we really saw her on the street corners there, right? And so, look, the people in that area are just incredible people, right? It's a handful of the youngsters that are the problem, right? But the people that live there are incredible people, and I just love people, and I'm able to relate with anyone anywhere. And they saw that. They saw that I could just kind of. So they would just tease me, and they would call me Jamal Michael Hall because I just fit in everywhere I go.
You were
Because
badass.
there's just not a people group that I'm just not comfortable being around.
Man, oh my gosh, that really just like that made me light up when you had said that to me the
Well,
other day.
I'm
Like,
growing up like Eminem's who I'm listening to and Bone
right,
Thugs and like,
right.
NWA and
That's your former stomping guys, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, man. I mean, I I I have really enjoyed getting to know, you and your family and getting to know what you're about and what you do and how you make a difference. And one of the things that also a lot of people lose in translation is the things that we deal with on a daily basis with like our families and changes that have happened in business. I know that there's been a lot of adjustments for me personally in business. Like what, I literally, this is like almost like every podcast that I've said this on, but it's something that resonates with me is I lost 70% of my book of business when COVID hit because I was working together with people that if their hand was not held to the fire, they were not going to keep their insurance in play. And we had courts closed, we had DMVs closed, we had where, there was just nobody was really traveling that much or anything like that. And it just so happened to be I was out in the Ozarks because that was like the safe place, So, what's that zombie show or whatever? Like the Walking Dead. Yeah. So the Walking Dead, it was kind of like that, like the safe land
Mhm.
where like, the zombies couldn't get you. And so, yeah, we went to the Ozarks and, we're sitting there and we're coving out and we're looking around. And next thing I know, I have a whole new business and I've made adjustments with that. But that hurt me. And it hurt me. I mean, it was a pretty good kick to the gut. And I mean, I was really, really scared. And I think that that's something that people don't understand in business is that like we still feel those emotions.
Mhm.
And, we work so hard to try to be able to build something. And it's like we finally get there. And then it's like, oh no, just kidding. And we're now redirected in life. We talked about my baseball stuff and how, it ended up here or how, we signed up thinking we were going to get certain results.
Mhm.
And actually, we got different results. And, I'm a believer that God doesn't always give you what you want, but he definitely gives you what you need. And in this case, I believe that we were put on the same stage, like
Mhm.
no pun intended, we were put on the same stage to be able to meet each other, to get to know each other, and to help one another. And it's just incredible how like we think maybe that we're going for one particular thing, and then maybe all of a sudden we make a turn and there's a fork in the road, and all of a sudden we're going toward doing something different. I had just found myself in a position to where it was like I was really looking around, really paying attention. And this is like it has arguably become now my biggest line of business. We started messing with the exotic cars, we started messing with boats, we started messing with RVs and side by sides, and now we got these kit cars. Like it's I've talked about the Oscar Mayer Wiener. I've insured that thing, right? It's a kit car, and then a couple weeks ago I had there was a Dodge Ram van, right? And I'm like,
Dodge
how is
Ram van.
right? So
Okay.
it was like a 76 van or something like that. And I was like, how is this thing worth like $200,000? Like, what kind of equipment you
What?
got in this thing? It was a mystery machine. You remember from Scooby Doo? It was the
Oh, yeah,
mystery. It was a
yeah.
mystery machine. So it was an iconic vehicle. It was the real vehicle that was
No
made
way.
off of that. Yeah, it was. I got pictures and everything with that stuff. Now I think it's got like some Dayton's on there or something like that. It was like tricked out, but yeah, it was definitely an eye opener to see like it was just something totally different and it's something I really enjoy. And then I've, as a result of that, opened up other relationships. One of them I'm going to see next week has
Mhm.
become one of my arguably biggest referral sources, and great relationships there. But all this happened by complete and total accident.
Yeah.
Like I always talk about, the 8-minute Ferrari, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So, when I ended up wrecking
Yeah.
that, um, and I lost control of the car, I put it into a guardrail, I'm literally turning around on the highway, everybody's driving by, but people are getting video as they're going by. Not one person stopped and not one person cared. They're like, oh, poor guy wrecking his exotic car. I feel real bad for him. Yeah, that's not what people were thinking. Nobody stopped, nobody cared, but all my
Blows my
stuff went
mind.
viral. And the next thing I know, like people are like, "Oh, that's Steve, right?" And now people come up, they don't even know my name. They'll just say, "Mr. Oh, hey, Mr. Insurance," or whatever. Like I had a little kid in Walmart the other day. He was like, "Are you Mr. Insurance?"
No way.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. But anyway, anyhow, so he was like, the little kid was like, "You're a lot bigger in person and stuff, right?" And then I was like, "Yeah, that's what a lot of the women say too, right?" So, um, but anyhow, as far as that goes, we that that went viral. A bad occurrence, or what I thought was one of my worst days, actually was one of the absolute biggest things that really, really took off that piece of
Mm.
my career. And it was because it went viral. It went across the country. I mean, like, and people were like, "Well, what does this guy do?" And there's that saying, like, no, what is it, like, no bad news is bad news, or whatever. It's so, or
I mean,
no bad publicity. There's no bad
there's
publicity. It's just,
opportunity in any adversity if you look for it.
I mean, within 6 months in commission, I had made over $1.3 million
Wow.
by that occurrence alone. Because now people are like, well, you know what? He's been through that and he kind of understands it. And I mean, I had a hell of a time trying to be able to get insurance because a lot of people didn't know I had 2 cars stolen a couple months before that.
Oh man.
So, it's people just don't get it. I mean, I could probably go on and on and on, but I'm here to talk about you, not me. So,
Well, let me
you know,
just touch on some of what you just said
okay.
because you and I were talking last night. And one of the neat things about your story is that I got to learn last night was all the adversity that you've been through, the different times that you failed. We talked about the one, the company that you had at one point that you were selling that it didn't work out the way that
Health
you thought it
insurance
was going to
company.
work out. And you know, it's such a fine line between success and failure. And one of the things that I think that really that I like to coach people on is our thought process, and we are not victims of our circumstance. We are not what's the word that I wanted to use? We're not where we are in life because of our circumstances. We are where we are in life because of our decisions. And so the decisions that you have made have aligned you with other people that think like you, right? So that's what I want to do. I want to get around other people like you and I that are thinking positive like that. There was something else that you said too that I wanted to comment on. That gum slipped my mind that quick, but I don't know.
You talked about, like, where last night we were talking about how there's, when failures happen, stuff, and like rising
Oh
out of the
yeah.
ashes. I think that's what you're probably
Yeah,
alluding
so
to.
I posted a video the other day, and I don't remember if it was the one that I posted from
You talking about the dance video?
not that video. It was either Jim Rohn or John Maxwell, and he said that the cycle is uh, you start something new, you fail, you learn, you reset. You start something new, you fail, you learn, you reset. You start something new, you fail, you learn, you reset. It's just the constant cycle, right? So, like John Maxwell says, we fail forward. You don't fail, you just learn and you get better. But it's been a story of my life, right? Just failing forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can definitely relate. I've definitely made some poor choices and different various things, but you do learn from those things, man. So you're not starting over. You're starting
From
from
experience.
an experience level. And that's something that, I mean, like, experience is something like, you can't get in a textbook, right?
Yeah, you can't
You
pay for
you
experience.
can't pay for experience.
Well, and
And
that's the cool thing with what you're doing now, right? Like you've had an incredible level of success and you've had to go through an incredible level of adversity to get there. So you can use your experience to help younger people coming up to not have quite the learning curve that you've had if they're coachable and they're willing to learn. Like the amount of knowledge that you can put on somebody is awesome, and that's the neat thing of the position that you're in. The way that you're going to be able to mentor and affect these newer people coming up in business. It's pretty incredible.
I had come up in where I was very much piss and vinegar, man. Like, I mean, I was out there so excited and I could sell. Like, now I might have been more full of crap than a Christmas turkey, but I mean, I'll tell you, it
Does sound like a
was
good Christmas turkey.
no, it doesn't, right? Yeah. So, or a Thanksgiving turkey, not a Christmas turkey, right? But yeah, so given the time of year, but um it was something that people, they took full advantage of, and I had a lot of people that told me they were going to do things, and then never came through with that. And it didn't matter where maybe that put me financially. And there were many times where it put me out in a big way financially. I don't care how well I've done. I don't forget the times where I was feeding Coinstar to be able to pay my payroll or to pay my light bill, or the times where my cars got repossessed in the same day, and then the IRS decided to stick their hands in my bank account, pull every dollar that I had out, and I bounced checks like a freaking bouncy ball.
The
Like,
second you forget that, the second you become unrelatable, and then you're not gonna grow anymore.
I literally keep a picture on my desk that is where I started at. And it's in my mom's basement, right? And it was a very, very cold basement, right? I had like a space heater that was like always running underneath my feet. And there was some noisy ass freaking sump pump that would go off. And I know this thing was all jacked the hell up, right? Because it would just run. It sounded like a fire alarm going off, right? So I like try to like barricade this thing with mattresses and pillows and stuff, so like it muted the sound. But I knew that at certain time intervals, that sucker was going to go off. And I had my mute button ready on my phone when that was going to go off, because I knew that it was, again, it sounded like a damn fire alarm. It sounded like a tornado drill or something like that, right? So, yeah, I mean, you remember your humble beginnings and where you came from, and you take that and you utilize that to be able to help you to build and to be able to help you grow. I want to be able to make sure that agents come in there, that they're guided the right way,
Mm.
that they go through and they have these resources available to them. There's so many different influencers in this world today, and nothing comes from the influence. Like, it's
Mhm.
all hype talk and everything else, and that's great. And there's a lot of knowledge in that hype talk. I mean, I think we can relate with Eric Thomas. Like,
Mhm.
he talked about play your card, and
Mhm.
he like made like the your.
He just came to my mind while you were actually talking about that. I was
That
thinking
guy
about
was
how real he is and how relatable he is and how he's able to connect with his audience
he was
and
worth the price of admission for
yeah.
sure. And then I actually, so he was trying to catch an Uber to the airport, and like I guess the driver couldn't find him, and he's just standing outside in front of the hotel. And I started striking up a conversation, and I mean, I learned about this guy and like the things that I didn't know about this man, and like how absolutely genuine and real and how blessed that he is. Um,
What a story
I mean,
too.
I
Born
didn't
from
know
a
half
single
of the
mom at
stuff.
17 years
I
old
didn't know
and
any of that. I was just, for some reason, I just thought that he just like appeared and all of a sudden we went viral on YouTube or whatever. And now the guy, he picks and chooses where people pay him
why do you think
200
he had
G's
so
to
much
show up.
success?
I think it was
Because he's real.
very much so.
Kept it real.
Um, I said to, so
Stayed true to his
I
roots.
kept calling the coffee shop. It was, it was there was a coffee shop that was like right down the street on the corner.
Okay.
I kept calling the thing the three-legged horse, and Angie kept correcting me, and I just kept calling it the three-legged horse. And that's what it became. And I still don't remember what the name of the damn thing is, but it was like the coffee horse or something not as cool as the three-legged horse, right? So we went down to this coffee shop, and then, like I said, we're coming back up, and we see this guy, and I'm like, this guy should be like swarmed with security or something.
Right. You
He
would
didn't give a
think.
crap, man. He was outside. He had like a Biggie Small shirt on, like the
Mhm.
four different colors of Biggie and everything, and his hat, flat bill, and everything. Real. I mean, I'm talking real. So I don't know, man. I really enjoyed meeting that guy. But what that also did for me is the things that I'm developing right now. I want to get people into private settings with
Mhm.
these guys where they can actually like really interact with them, really be able to have not just interactions in the flesh with them, but also have interactions with them maybe on, a quarterly or a weekly or whatever, that they're in the circle of trust
Mm.
or the cabinet of resources of people that people can go to ping ideas off of. Because when you talk to people like that, there's really it's you understand why that person has become so successful. They're just generally like a world of knowledge. Like,
Mhm.
you'll give you some education,
Yeah.
and really make you feel smarter after you've gotten done talking with them.
Well, it's
So
true. Your network is going to equal your net worth, right? You get around people that I never want to be the most successful person in the room because I want to have my vision stretched. I want to have my thinking stretched. That's the value that those people can bring. Is it's going to show you how to think. That's why reading's so important, right? It's like if you want to have success, you need to think the way successful people do. And the way that we do that is we read their thoughts that they put down on pages. It's how we train our brain to think that way. But no, that's incredible, man. Getting around people like that and and him and Tim Grover and some of these other people are just they're just incredible examples of raw, true grit that just no BS, that really care.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about like maybe I mean, besides the Jamal Michael Hall, right? So tell me like maybe the other side that's not the working side, like the dad version. Like I had seen, and I know that there was
See me embarrass myself.
we've all been there, right? Our kids
See the
want us to do a
Caucasian in me.
dance. Yeah.
the lack of
You
the
It's a
lack of
good thing,
rhythm.
right? It's a good thing you went into insurance and not dancing, right? I don't think there's any magic Mike in that dance, right? So, yeah, as far
There's
as
some Mike, just no
right,
magic.
there's no magic in that mic, right? But no, we were talking last night about like my kid has more followers. Let's talk about your dad. Let's talk about Mike Senior.
Oh man, you know what? I'm so blessed. I've got an incredible dad. He's the oldest of four. He was the only boy. He was a pastor growing up. And really, when I was growing up, we really weren't that close. He was really busy with what he was doing. I was really close with my mom, and she ended up. They ended up separating. About man, I guess it was goodness gracious. My daughter's 14 now, so 14 years ago, and he's lived with me ever since. And so our relationship has really just progressed to a whole nother level. It's really incredible. I mean, uh, the legacy he's going to leave me is going to be so much greater than a financial legacy, right? Because when I look back through life, I mean, just the decisions that he's made through every adversity that he's been through, he's always done the right thing, even to his detriment. And so he's an incredible grandfather. I've got three beautiful girls, McKenna, Cheyenne, and Reagan. They're 14, almost 12, and 8. And so he gets them up every morning for school. He gets them ready. He takes them to school most mornings. He'll take them out to to get ice cream randomly, or like they just have a blast with him. And so he actually works with me as well. He runs my staff, so he does staff meetings with my group every morning. And he's very forward thinking. He's a huge blessing for my wife and I. And it's really cool to be able to not just do life, but also to be able to do business with your family because it doesn't always work out to do business with
Oh,
family.
do I
It
know?
usually doesn't work out to do
Do I
business with
know?
family. But this is just one of those rare occasions where, you know, I'm blessed. I've learned a lot from him, specifically from his example. And if I could become half the man that he is, then I would have done something.
The guy is also like an social media sensation. Like he's got like a crazy amount of followers of the different things that he's out there doing. I was joking with you last night. I was like, we pay for this stuff,
Uh huh.
right? We're just like we might get like our mom to like it or like, our wives or something like that, right? But like my kid, he'll post something. He got like 1,000 likes, and he's got all these different people following him and stuff. And he's real big into the car scene and stuff. But with your dad, I know that he also like preaches right online.
Yeah, so he's been a pastor since he was young. I mean, it's really all he's done in his life. So he doesn't pastor a church anymore. But now what he does, he does a podcast a couple times a week, and he boosts it. He does it live. He goes live on Facebook, and he boosts it to all these different countries like Pakistan, all these Middle Eastern places, and he gets tens of thousands of views, tens of thousands of through plays. I mean. On every one that he does, it gets hundreds of thousands of views. But the difference that he's making and the people he's been able to help, it's just been incredible. He's also got we've got a ministry that we do where we help people in Haiti through this silly business called insurance that we do. We were able to stumble into creating a children's shelter in Nigeria. And it's just incredible to see how those doors can be opened up. But you're talking about the kids. So my daughter started her own YouTube channel just a couple of months ago, and she started with all these dances. I don't know what got her wanting to do it because she's pretty introverted too.
That's how TikTok started, was like with all the dances. It used to be called, I think like Musically or something like that is what it used to be called.
The app.
I think it was called, I want to say it was Musically or whatever, because I remember Maddie would like take mom's phone or something and do that. But anyway, continue what you were
Well,
saying.
we don't let her on TikTok, but we let her have. She's not on any social media except for YouTube. And so she gets on YouTube and she sees all these dances. So she's been doing them consistently on her own. Like nobody told her to, nobody said you should do this, but like every day she's posting dances. And she's only had this for maybe 2 months. And she's already got over 1,000 followers. She's got a couple of videos that have 60, 70,000 views. And it's like, it's pretty incredible. So anyway, she was begging me to do a dance with her. And I was like, no, like, I can't dance. I can't sing. I can't do any of that. I'm not very athletic. Like, I don't want to put myself out there. But how many times are we trying to do everything and be perfect? How many times do we try to get everything out there? And when you look at social media today, it's one big lie. You see the success without the adversity, and there is no success without adversity. You've got to embrace that. And so I'm such an all or nothing person. I'm such an OCD perfectionist type of person that I'm the guy that if I've got to do a 2-minute video, I'll have like 200 takes on my phone. And so at the beginning of 2023, the one thing that the words that I adopted for the year were get uncomfortable. In November, December of last year, I just felt that in my soul that, okay, if I'm going to turn this ship around, I need to embrace every chance that I get to get uncomfortable in life and in business. And so when my daughter came, well, first of all, when we spoke on stage, right, that was one way for me to get uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. And then when my daughter came to me about the videos, it was another way that I knew that, okay, if I can't laugh at myself, it's just like I can't take myself too serious. And so I thought, you know what, let's just have fun with it. Let's just do it. And then so I did it, and it got like several thousand views. And then my other daughters were like, well, I want you doing videos with us.
Oh boy.
So then you saw me post one the other day of, well, maybe you didn't see it. I think I posted it yesterday with me and my 2 youngest daughters, but you know what?
I haven't seen that Magic Mike video yet. Yeah.
Look, where I'm at in life right now, everything's about relationships and memories. We can't take the stuff with us. It's all about the relationships. And my daughters are growing up fast. My oldest is a freshman in high school. I've got maybe 3 years left with her before she goes off to college. And if this is the stuff that they're going to remember, so I'm embracing it and having fun with it.
So we talked about memories, right? So like we started a tradition where we would go Thanksgiving week and we would go to, well, it used to be our lake house, right? So now we're going to Florida, but we have where we're going down there and we are spending time with each other, right? And we're creating memories with each other. And we are, we would go Black Friday shopping. So like you probably don't know anything about the Ozarks, but there's like an outlet mall and it used to be like hopping, right? As all outlet malls were, right? Now there's like one store that's open. Or what, 2 stores, right? There's the Polo store and then there's Under Armour, right? So like that was what we were going to, right? So, we would go Black Friday shopping or whatever and, then get on Amazon or whatever and have a bunch of packages delivered. But, I was like, it's like Christmas all year long for these kids, right? They're spoiled rotten. I like spoiling my kids. I like spoiling my family and my wife and everything. And the thing is I was like, I want to be able to make memories, things that they're going to remember forever. So
they're going to forget the stuff.
This year, this is the first year we're going to take them out of the country. And I got to tell you, I'm a little worried about whoever is on room service duty at that time. Because once my kids understand that, like, you're going to be able to get unlimited.
Jack and Chase are going to go nuts.
Right. They're going to have like unlimited nachos, unlimited fries, unlimited burgers. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a little worried for the guy that's delivering it or the lady that's delivering it on there because they're going to put them to work. That's for sure. but I just can't wait to see these kids, like to see some of the different things that I didn't get to see as a kid or
Yeah.
whatever. And one thing I've always said is I want my kids to be kids,
Mhm.
right? Because I was forced to grow up really, really quickly. And we talked about this, both of us, like when we were younger, and how we didn't really fit in. I mean, I used to be made fun of all the time 'cause how pale I was. I had some big old ears, you know. And I mean, I guess I kind of like grew into my head, but it
I
was
was
like a watermelon
I
on a
almost said
toothpick,
that. I was thinking you grew into them.
right? Right. At least for now, right? So but no, I mean, man, everything from being called Dumbo the Pale Boy to
Kids are mean.
Casper to everything else. Yeah. And I mean, we talked about this with, like kids bullying each other
Yeah.
these days and everything else. Well, now, you got social media, so it doesn't just end at school. Like we used to handle things like the Jamal Michael hallway, right? We'd be
Right.
like, meet me on the
That's right.
playground or whatever, right?
Parking lot.
Right. It's time for an ass beating, right?
Hey, the
But
bathrooms at lunch.
exactly. I mean, so you work problems out differently than it was
You
back
got these
then than
cyber
you do
bullies,
now,
these
right?
tough guys,
Yeah. And then when you
keyboard
see
tough
them in
guys.
person, not much to say, right?
Right.
But anyhow, we've made adjustments, but again, we talked about this. God doesn't give you necessarily what you want,
Mm.
but what you need. My daughter, she ran into a really bad bullying situation at one of the schools that she was going to. So we didn't actually want to send her to that school. We had moved from O'Fallon out to Wentzville, and the school that she was going to in O'Fallon was incredible. And she ran into a bullying situation where she wore a political t-shirt to school. Some people didn't agree with the political t-shirt that she had on, and it turned into a physical violence, almost a hate crime.
Mm.
And so
That's horrible.
well, but it ended up, we pulled her out of that situation and it put her onto a path to where she's at now, where she's actually thriving, and she has become very much closer with God, which is
Mhm.
so. I don't think that's by coincidence that those kind of things happen. And while it was not the prettiest way to go
Mhm.
through things, it's like how many things happen in our lives that aren't that great, that aren't that glamorous, but it puts us on the right path to where we need to go and what we need to do, and maybe the message that we're trying to be able to do. I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I will let you talk more on here, okay? Because I don't want to take over again too much. I'm trying to become better with that. What I say, the freaking Jimmy.
Jimmy Farrell.
I said Jimmy Farrell, yeah, Jimmy Fallon or something like that, But so again, God doesn't necessarily give you what you want; He gives you what you need. And how many times have we faced that adversity to where we've been in very uncomfortable situations, and we thought we were signing up for something, and it didn't really end up turning into that, and ended up we're in a better situation now. So I mean, I can name several different times in my life with this, for multiple different things. We talked about my health insurance business, and like, I mean, health insurance business was booming back in the day,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, like, the Obamacare stuff started coming. I started seeing the writing on the wall, and I decide I'm going to sell the business, and I'm going to self finance the
Mhm.
business.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, the health insurance market kind of crashed. I'm used to making this money, and it's coming in every month, or so I think it is. And all of a sudden it's no longer coming in, and the guy goes bankrupt, and then everything gets sucked in to the bankruptcy estate, and I lose everything. And that's when things, it was like you're on top of the world, and all of a sudden, but it put me on the path to where I'm at here today.
Mhm.
And those things, it really teaches you life and resiliency, and it teaches you to really be humble in what you do. um and there's a lot of people
Let me
it
ask you something real quick. How
yeah.
many people do you think would pick up after that experience and reinvent themselves and push on?
I've got a mentor of mine, Todd Bosler. He was actually on this podcast, and he talks to me about that all the time. He said, there's no quit in you. And probably sometimes I was too
That's
dumb
why
to
you're
quit.
successful.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of people think that just because you're successful, that means that maybe you have unlimited pockets, maybe that they can take advantage of you
You
or
got unlimited drive and desire.
yeah. And I've had a lot of people, unfortunately, that have taken advantage of that. And I've seen it for what it is. And I've become smarter over the years to know what I should engage into and what I shouldn't, and when I need to check in and when I need to check out. And it's again, it's not always pretty, and there's been some ruined relationships in that set,
Mm.
of occurrences, and but again, you become wiser, you become stronger, and you figure it out, and you move on to the next thing.
You want to see God laugh, tell him your plans. You know what? And if you can look for it, there's opportunity in every adversity. And I don't believe in any accidents. I don't believe in coincidences. You either believe that you've got full control and your decisions matter, about everything and you're the guy, or you believe that, all this is predetermined and we were created and there was a greater plan. And, I believe, I mean, it's just my belief, but I believe that God wants to get us in in a place to where our egos won't allow us to point inward to see, look what I did, look what I accomplished, look at how good I am.
Yeah,
Right. I believe that God wants to get us into a place where we can say, hey, I don't know how I've had the success that I've had. It's only, by his grace and his mercy that one, I'm even alive, two, that I'm even in business, and three, that I've been able to earn a few nickels, and four, that I can help other people go do it. I think when we embrace that and we know that it's not us and that
yeah,
we just have to take the action, and it's like you said, it's a greater plan. Like when I lost my job in the fire department, it was the biggest setback in my life. I mean, think about it. I barely got through high school. I ran from college. My English teacher passed me in high school because she didn't want to see me again. My resume said I could break things and kill people. I say that jokingly, right? Like I was literally trained to work in McDonald's or a warehouse, but I had bigger dreams and desires. And even though I was completely fearful, I was more afraid of what I would become if I didn't take the action. See, for me, it was all about not wanting to have regrets. I was okay not having success, but I wasn't okay not leaving it all on the field. If I didn't have success because I wasn't good enough, okay, I put out a valiant effort. Congrats to the people that did. But if I didn't have success because I was too scared to put myself out there, I couldn't live with that. I couldn't live with that for me, and I couldn't live with that for the example that I was setting for my daughters. That's probably one of my biggest driving factors is knowing that my kids are watching how I respond to how life happens to me. Look, life ain't fair and business isn't fair, but when we can unite with like-minded people, we're going to figure it out together. We're going to get farther together because we're solution oriented, not problem oriented.
yeah. I mean, so let's get into, talk to me about, I know you're looking to be able to bring some people into your business, and I can't, you're actually as a part of our private cabinet members, right? So, that is a tried, true, and a vetted resource. And tell us a little bit about like what you're looking for, maybe in some agents that you're looking to try and be able to bring, how you're different than everybody else out there, and like what you're going to offer as opposed to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I'm not looking for everybody either. I'm not looking for people that need a job. I'm not looking for people that need money. I'm looking for people that want a different result, that care about people, that want to go make a difference for themselves and for others. Like I said earlier, I think that's one of the most debilitating things that's out there today. What people need today is more income. If the average person could wake up today and not owe a single penny to anybody, how much different will Christmas be for half the country this year? Think about all the people that are going to be putting thousands of dollars that they can't afford on credit cards, and then they're going to bust their tail the rest of the year to try to figure out how to pay it off and never get ahead. How many people out there, how many single moms are working two or three or four jobs at 12, 14, 15, 18, 20 bucks an hour trying to make it, right? And so I'm just looking for people, one, that love people, two, that want to make a difference, and three, someone that's entrepreneurial minded, someone that doesn't want to have the constraints of a boss, somebody that doesn't want to have somebody put a dollar amount on their value. And so the neat thing is with the opportunity that I have on the part-time basis, people don't have to upend their life. They don't have to commit to a certain amount of time. They can come in, they can get an insurance license, they can sit down with me and let me help them with their own personal situation. And then all they got to do, Steve, is just introduce me to other people that they know, that they love, that have debt that they want to get rid of, they're already doing something about it. And if me or one of my specialists are able to help them, they get half of the money just for making the introduction. And so, like, we could help most of the country earn I think a really good part-time income just by making those introductions. And for the people that want to actually learn how to do it themselves, dude, I got people making six-figure incomes part-time just by helping people. And it's not, and look, I love I love insurance. I love life insurance. I love the result that it creates for people. If I'm being 1,000% honest, in the last 12 years that I've done this business, being an introvert, never doing any sales before, I've hated the activity that I've had to do. That's a pretty strong word, but I'm going to use it. There's not much that I hate, but I've hated the activity. Like, that phone was so heavy for me. It was so far out of my comfort zone to pick that up. I've hated the activity, but I've loved the result that it's created. And when I was introduced to the program that we're doing now 2 years ago, that's something I've always struggled with. Thankfully, I've been able to out earn my stupidity through my years. My wife and I went through Dave Ramsey's program 20 years ago, and we paid off about $50,000 in debt. But we had a young, growing family. We found ourselves with everything needing to be replaced, and we went right back into debt. Right. So it's something that I can relate to. It's something I've never wanted to be the guy to go sell my friends and family. Like that. That's not me. I started out in network marketing, and I was so sold out to the system that if you didn't buy from me, you weren't my friend. I've ruined a lot of relationships. I was very, like, I was committed to what I wanted to do. Like, I would walk in the room and people would run out. And so by the time I got into insurance, I'd already burned my bridges. I'd already burned my warm market. And so I had to go out there. People knew me for the guy with the lampshade on their head, or the guy doing the silly stuff at the party, or the fun
Yeah.
guy, not the finance guy, not the business guy, not the successful guy. So I had to go out there and earn my stripes and be able to do that. But this is something, like, I was able to help my sister. First of all, my wife and I got into this program. We've got some debt that we wanted to get rid of, right? Like, I understood, being a business owner, that cash is important to have on hand. Most businesses go out of business in the first 3 to 5 years for lack of cash flow. You got to be able to have money to invest into your business. So my wife and I just bought a home. New Year's Eve will be 3 years ago. We both have two newer cars, and through this program, we'll be 100% debt free by February of 29, with almost 400 grand in the account to keep us out of debt going forward. Well, my sister's a nurse. My brother-in-law's an attorney. They had debt. So I said, "Hey, look, I don't know that this is anything for you, but this is what we were able to do for us. Is it something you'd like to know about?" And they were like, "Of course," right? So I was able to introduce them to one of my guys that I work with, and they were able to help them. And it's like, well, why can't we scale that? Why can't we just, because the neat thing about what I'm doing is, the average person I'm helping, they need to make part-time income.
Yeah.
They're excited about what we do because they believe in it. So now they're getting licenses and they're referring people, and it's kind of taken off.
Well, think about that. How many people they're doing like DoorDash or, OnlyFans or something like that? I mean, I guess that's a little better income, right? But
All the
depending on who it
teachers, that's the
is,
teacher
right?
thing, right?
You're right. Right. But how many people, could be doing something like that instead of doing those sort of things,
And really making a
and
real
making a difference,
impact.
in what people are
You're
doing.
becoming the hero for the people that you know.
So I very much can relate to this. Gosh, it's like incredible to me sometimes, like when I'm talking to you, how much we are alike. I used to have what I would call the big three, right? So you're either buying from me, referring me, or you were gonna feed me, right? So obviously, see, I got fed well, right? So but like back when I would do table appointments, I mean, I've talked about this about being a debit agent, right? So in case some people don't know what a debit agent
A
is,
whole nother
okay,
world.
it's something you don't want to be, okay? So you're usually in some harder areas that you probably should not be in. And you would go collect life insurance premium from, moms and grannies and, dads. And like you were you would go collect cash,
You were the insurance man.
right? You were the insurance man. That's kind of where this came from or whatever. But I turned it around to something different because of the way my wife used to be like, okay, Mr. Insurance or whatever. Like that's so, um, but I remember, so I worked for this company and we used to do a lot of like union benefits,
Mhm.
right? And so, but you would go and it was the same concept, right? You would collect the cash and you would bring it back to the office, and then you had to generate a lead out of that person, right? So that
Mhm.
was the only way that you got leads. You weren't given phone calls or like
No
this
such
stuff on
thing
the
yet.
internet. You didn't get any DMs or nothing like that anymore these days. We had this thing that it was this $1,000 accident plan, right? And I would like come knock on your door. I'd be like, "Hey, I was just over at,
Mhm.
Jane's house over here. She's your next door neighbor, in case you don't know. And she wanted to give you this $1,000 accident plan. This thing wouldn't have paid like on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock unless you were wearing like a red shirt with like diamond earrings and freaking orange shoes or something. Like it would have never paid out. And then even if it did, it was $1,000,
I
right?
started out doing the same thing.
And those were your leads, man. And
Yeah.
like you do the 2-step shuffle, right? So you just start looking at your feet and you start walking in. And that's how, and again, I go back thinking about this stuff. Like you probably get shot these days
Mm.
now with the way that it used to be. There's a favorite comic that I have, Sebastian Maniscalco, and he talks about the old school days about how like, you know, family and friends, they just drop by, they're in the neighborhood, they drop by and, like you would keep, and I related to this a lot because like it was literally like my life growing up. That the little Debbie cakes and everything else, and you keep like some Santeria or whatever, and uh, in the fridge and all that. And like I said, this was literally my life growing up with that. My mom had to hide the Entenmann's sort of stuff because I was a big hungry, um, but now, like I said, nowadays you can't do that. Like it's totally different than it was, and I don't know if there's even that still going on anymore because we've become more of a cashless society. But the last day for me being a debit agent, I was down off of St. Louis Avenue and Palm, and I ended up getting. I had a gun held to the back of my head. I had all the money taken from me that I had collected for premiums, and I was literally stripped down butt naked and I was put on the ground, told, I thought I was done, right? And luckily, the guy didn't shoot me. He took all my clothes and took everything else. I looked like probably some
Dude, that's
crackhead running
crazy.
across Natural Bridge Road, like trying to be able to get to the gas station over there. I had like a newspaper around me and that sort of thing. And um, like there's only two reasons why I would go back to that neighborhood, right? Barbecue and cover all tire spray, right? Those are the only two reasons why I would go back to those things. And Joey's snickering over here because he already be knowing. So, because you don't get any kind of shine like you get in the ghetto shine, right? Or you go through the car wash or whatever down there and get like the newest hit single of whoever's coming out next, and like some gloves or something, but uh, I got to knowing a lot of these different various people, such good,
Mhm.
genuine people, but that ran me out of that particular business. And then I ended up in kind of the health insurance business, right? And I did really, really well in that business. And all these circumstances that had led me down to the next path of
Right.
like what was going to happen in my life. It's crazy how these things have happened. And I go back to thinking about this stuff and I'm like, this is nuts.
Each failure or adversity has led you to the next level.
100%, man. So let's get back to you on that. So if somebody wanted to work with you or somebody that wanted to contact you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, if they went to trustworthy.life/get started, they could see some videos on there and there's a way to connect with my team and they would be able to help see whether or not it'd be a good mutual fit or not.
I'll tell you, man, like of all the people that I have worked with or been around, I mean, you really have this thing figured out. And if people are looking to be a part of that, you need to go see Mike. You need to do like Magic Mike, magicjamalmike.com or something like that, like or jamalhall.com or something, but
Something catchy, huh?
something catchy, like no, it's funny because when I had seen your license plate and everything, I actually never knew what your company name was. I guess I didn't pay that much
Yeah.
attention. I just was enamored by you talking and all that, but I never really paid attention to your company name because I was into buying into you as a person, not
Yeah.
necessarily your company or whatever. And ironically, went to me buying in as a client of yours, and so. Um, but called it trustworthy.
Right.
So I also, a lot of people don't know that I also I had a warranty company, right? And it was called Trustway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like it resonated with me with that stuff, and I think that that's funny with it being both the trusted aspects of that because like we talked about that a lot of the being trusted and tried and true and to one another. And I don't know, man. I'll tell you, I really enjoyed you being on here. Thank you for coming in from out of town. Enjoyed, us going out to dinner and, we got some good surf and turf last night on that. The wives got a chance to be able to hang out a little bit. I know you're seeing some other friends of yours also while you're in town here too. But I really enjoyed having you on. Really enjoy your friendship. I look forward to, continuing that and, getting to know each other and growing as friends and in business, helping one another as well.
Future's bright, man. I'm excited to be here, excited
Yeah.
for the connection, and I'm excited to see where it's going to take us, where this journey is going to take us, this journey of life that we get to do together.
Right. All right, man.
Cool, man. Appreciate you.
All
Thank
right. You're
you.
welcome.